Hi, I'm Mike from Rose Pest Solutions. Today we are using the JetHeat thermal remediation heating system. I'm going to show you how to set it up and how to operate it for pretty much a standard bedbug thermal remediation process. First thing you want to do when you come into the unit or apartment, whatever it may be you're heating, is check for alarm systems, heat sensors, if they have sprinkler heads, for smoke detectors that may be hooked up to a hard panel or to a fire panel downstairs. You want to have all that stuff situated before you turn on and start heating the unit, because that can just create problems. After that's all been done, depending how you're going to use the system, today we're using it inside of a unit in a high-rise. A lot of times you'll be just using it, bringing the duct inside of a window or a door or inside of a main door upstairs into a house. There's pretty much no limitations on where you can go with this piece of equipment. After you figure out what your plan of attack is, you want to set the room up to be treated, prep it. Prepping it is making sure there's no aerosol cans, lighters, flammable things, candles, chocolate, anything that would melt on a dashboard on a hot sunny day. You pretty much need to have out of the unit or put on a balcony or into a refrigerator somewhere where it can stay cool. After that is set up, you can set the beds up. After you're done with that, then it's time to set the equipment up. You'll be basically hooking a main line up onto the end of the JetHeat, and there may be times when you have to split this line up to do multiple rooms at a time, depending on the square footage of how big of an area you are doing. Once you have all that set up, then you can basically start turning it on. And before you start heating, you want to take your heat sensors and put them in the critical spots so you can monitor the temperature inside the room. You can stick them inside of between cushions, under beds, under nightstands, in dresser drawers, on top of things. Basically, you want to have it all spread out in the room so you can monitor the temperature that the heat's getting to the threshold of the lethal stage of killing bedbugs. Bedbugs lethal is 118 degrees. We typically like to get it up to about 125, 130. That way we're saturating everything. It's penetrating into the material of sofas, beds, headboards. That way it will kill all the eggs, any bedbugs that may be trying to retreat and get away and escape from the heat. Also, sprinkler head covers. There are sprinkler head covers available that go over them and insulate the heads. That way it prevents them from going off from the temperature. It's always not a bad idea to take a sensor and stick it inside there. That way you can just see what the temperature is inside the cover and monitor that as well. Alarm systems, if they are hooked up, they do need to be disengaged, so you have to let the property manager or owner know, and they can disengage that for you. Once you have the machine operating and running, it all depends on the size of the unit and the construction of the unit. Some units will take longer to get to the lethal temperature, the threshold. Some will take shorter. Biggest influence on that is the structure and what it's made out of. In my experience, concrete ceilings tend to act like a sponge and absorb the heat. Same thing with walls. If they're concrete or brick, they will absorb the heat like a sponge, so it takes longer for that to get up to a critical stage to heat it. Once you're at the critical temperature, lethal, which is about 125, 130, you typically want to hold that to 2 to 3 hours at that temperature. You'll be tossing things in the rooms, moving them around, rearranging things, rearranging fans, that way to make sure that air is circulating and getting everywhere. Sometimes it may be necessary to pull edges of carpet back on severe infestations. The difference between JetHeat and some of the other type of heating system is this is an instant heat. There's no waiting for it. Some models take air and they recirculate the heat throughout the unit, and that's where the biggest factor of like concrete ceilings and walls like that slows down that process. It can take up to an hour, hour and a half to get up to that lethal temperature, versus where JetHeat is instantly pushing the heat out and there's no wait time. You're getting a much faster kill off, and that critical time between 100 and 105 degrees is when bedbugs are basically trying to run away, get away from that heat. And if something is taking a lot longer for it to get to that lethal threshold, they will have time to retreat and dig in, versus JetHeat is not allowing that to happen. They are basically dead on contact. The power, as far as jobs that you can do much bigger jobs. You can do humongous amount of square footage and cubic footage jobs versus using electric heaters. Propane heaters do a similar job, but propane is not a very safe option in my professional experience, because you have an open flame and you are sucking air, and you can be bringing in embers, and they can literally ignite a house on fire. Because the intake, you could bring leaves, pieces of paper, any type of debris could get sucked into that, and it bypasses and then hits that flame, and then that flame can ignite it and go right inside. Plus you're dealing with an explosive gas, you have to trailer that explosive gas. With the JetHeat, there's no need for a trailer. This will fit in the back of a pickup truck. It is pretty much limitless. You can do it on the 150th floor of a high-rise, you can do it in a basement, you can do a movie theater with it. There really is no limitations on what kind of type of job you can do with this versus having to run cable lines for electric heaters down to a generator 20, 30 stories. I've done it. It does work. It's a pain. It's not as safe. You're dealing with electricity. There's other heaters out there that use heating oil that runs up, pumped through a line. Those are very limited. So this, you can bring it inside the unit. As long as you can have a window open to get cold air for the intake, you can do the job.